Astro Curious Baddies. We are here to talk about the Gemini New Moon. I like this one. We're going to get into the chart. We're going to get into the degrees and what this moon is talking to, and especially the mutual reception. This personally happens to be hitting my chart in a really lovely way. I hope it's hitting your chart in a really lovely way. When you are listening past the beginning, when I'm talking about the generalities of this new moon, I would love for you to stick around and look for your rising sign. When we give the new moon or full moon predictions per rising sign, we're really looking at where that new moon and the other planets it's speaking to, what houses those are landing in, because those are going to decide the subject matters that it most likely will come up for you in your life. And I'm a big fan of know before you go. So before we get into a new moon or any kind of transit, sometimes knowing before we go can help us prepare. It can also help ease any anxiety of like, there's this happening, or it's happening on my Mars. And people could think that a new moon that's happening on your Mars could be bad. It's most likely not. So we're going to go through everything about this new moon, why I like it so much. And then also we are going to go through each rising sign. Listen to the beginning part, and then make sure you listen to how to listen to your rising sign, because the degree matters. If you don't know the degree of your rising sign, message me, go to my website, SuzzyEvolutionary.com, and message me, and you'll see the contact, and I will help you find your rising sign. And if you want to get into all of this more, or you want to join a live stream where we talk about moon water and crystals, and people who are in Explorer and bonus levels of my Patreon will get a little extra VIP treatment during the full and new moon, and bonus members actually get a little video just for them when I go through their charts with the new moon. So all of that's available on Patreon, depending on what you feel comfortable with. You can also just kind of hang out with us there for free. But we're talking about metaphysics, personal development, and of course, astrology is the main dish there. So here we go. Let's talk about this new moon. So it is at 25 degrees and 3 minutes. And we see it here. Now, which house it's in for you is going to depend on your rising sign. So it may not, or it may be in the 5th house. But we have this beautiful, beautiful new moon. So let's get into this new moon. When we're looking at this new moon here and the 24 degree and 3 minute of the moon and the sun, of course, a new moon is when the moon and the sun meet together. For any of my newer astro curious people, that is when the sun and the moon meet together in the sky. And we think of it as a beginning, but I also say a reminder that a new moon is quite like when you go into your own kitchen in the middle of the night and everything is pitch dark. It is the darkest phase of all of the moon phases, right? So we have to use our intuition. We have to use what we know about ourselves, about our lives. And the more you get to know yourself, the more you do the personal development, the more that you have awareness of things that like, I don't need that anymore. The more that you are living and navigating your life for you in the healthiest way possible for you, the more the new moon we can really harness. And it won't feel like it's happening to you. It'll feel like a co-creation, which everything is kind of supposed to be, but that's probably another video. With a Gemini new moon, that going into the kitchen in the middle of the night, you don't need the lights on. You know where the countertop is. You're not going to bump yourself. You know where the refrigerator is. You know where your glasses are. You know where the Brita pitcher is. You may not need the lights on at all, right? You can, just knowing what you know about that room, even in the dark, you can navigate it. And that is what a new moon is like. It brings new beginnings. But again, when we co-create that Gemini energy, and on Patreon also, it's accessible to every single person that stops by, but I have a whole video on Gemini, and that Gemini curiosity, that open-mindedness, the understanding that there's more than one way to slice the bread. I personally like a nice thick brioche, but that's not what's most commonly found on the shelves. we can stretch ourselves here. We don't have to be the same as everyone else. And the one thing, and I always say this in all my lovely Gemini moons, probably have heard me say this a million times, is the one thing about a Gemini new moon, because we are talking moon here, right? We are talking our emotional body as well as our animating force and all of the beginnings that this phase brings. It's still a Gemini moon. And so we want to make sure that we're not overthinking our feelings. We want to make sure that we are feeling all of our feelings. I will say this, I will die on this hill, but the only unhealthy feelings we have are the ones that we work too hard not to feel, the ones that we try not to feel, the ones that feel better compartmentalized. And sometimes we have to compartmentalize. Sometimes we're in survival mode. But in this Gemini moon, it begs of you to have awareness, right? On the inside. We're not looking at external things. We can't. It's dark in that room. We're not noticing every little thing. It's inward. And I love a Gemini new moon because the brilliance, the way that we can understand, okay, this is how I really feel. Let me let the mind and my emotional body, let me let my cerebral, because Gemini is cerebral, my cerebral body and my emotional body kind of really co-create just the way that we want to co-create whenever we're looking at a new or a full moon or any transit or any energetic opportunity in our lives. Astrology, just for the cheap seats in the back, is reflective. We know it's going to be reflective. We can make the prediction because the same things have been happening for thousands of years. And thank God for every researcher, astrologer, every person who documented everything. So it is reflective. It's not woo woo, it's patterns, it's math. And when we honor a Gemini new moon, we are honoring all of those things, the cerebral, the two ways to look at things, the investigation, the curiosity. Love some Gemini energy. Please go watch the Gemini video because the first thing I open up with is there's too much slander about Gemini. Um, and we need that. Without curiosity, we wouldn't have new inventions. Without curiosity, we wouldn't have medical breakthroughs, right? Without curiosity, we would still be living in the dark ages. There is a mutual reception between Moon and Mercury. Now, are they speaking to each other by aspect? No, but they are still in mutual reception. So when we are looking at Mercury, which of course is the ruler of Gemini, it's in Cancer, which is the ruler of the moon. So these two are talking to each other. And Cancer, this Cancer Mercury is full of possibilities. Everything that needs to be said has not been said yet. We're not there. And it's funny because I think that later degree in the Gemini moon actually gives a little parameters. That thinking that like, oh, let's be a little cerebral before we just go blurting out every feeling we have is actually a very nice match. Besides that mutual reception, this is a very interesting chart because we have lots of things that are speaking to each other. Lots. We have two in conjuncts, which means they are 30 degrees apart. It's not really a major aspect. I always like to say an inconjunct is like if you're taking a walk, you're taking a hike, and you've got your heart rate going and you've got everything going and you don't want to stop, but you realize there's like a pebble or something in your shoe. And if you keep going, you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to be sorry later. So it's inconvenient to stop and take care of that one thing. And that's sometimes how these show up. Inconjunct means because it's not sharing a harmonious or even a squaring or opposition aspect, that 30 degrees means we are not sharing a modality, an element, nor a polarity. So we, of course, have Jupiter. This moon is applying to, or I should say Jupiter is applying to the moon, but that's some astrology stuff that we can talk about in Patreon. We have this semi-sextile, this 30-degree conversation with Jupiter in Cancer, where everything is magnified. And if you're not already listening to Lori Rivers about what that looks like in the outside world, please do, in the mundane astrology. But on a personal level, so what's interesting about this moon is that we have this 24 3-degree moon, right? And it is talking to Mercury. Now, it's barely a semi-sextile. Mercury would be applying to the moon. When I talk about semi-sextiles, which is really the only aspects we have going on with this new moon, it feels like taking a hike. You've got your heart rate up, you've got everything that you want going for your hike, but there's a pebble in your shoe and it's very inconvenient to stop. But if you don't, you'll pay for it later, right? So it's inconvenient, but it's something we have to do. That's just not it's not favorable to all the other circumstances, but it's a little necessary and it's a little annoying or inconvenient. So we have this really interesting aspect where this new moon is absolutely talking to Mercury. And Mercury is at 18 degrees. So again, there's a good 6 degrees different, and it's a semi sextile. So it's the mutual reception of the moon, which is ruled by Cancer, and Mercury, which is ruled by Gemini, that really makes these two talking to each other. And while we have other aspects to the moon, that is the one that I want you to focus on. So the other aspects that we have is we've got this 20-degree Mars and Taurus. Again, semi sextile. We're not sharing a modality, an element, a polarity. It's a little inconvenient. And Mars in Taurus is slow. I always say Mars in Taurus is good in the bedroom. It really is. And it's good for food. Um, but sometimes it feels like, why do I feel stuck in sludge trying to get this done? But it's also very steady. Quick Mars could be, oh, this is so great. And then abandonment of that task, of that. Taurus Mars is not abandoning anything. And so, but it feels sometimes like painstakingly, it depends on your energy. It depends on how you roll with all that stuff. If you have a lot of other cardinal energy, you might get a little impatient sometimes with a Taurus Mars. And I don't mean people with Taurus Mars. I mean, when we're in that energy, it just feels like, oh my God, I'm ready for this to kick off. What is going on? It takes its time. Like I said, it's good in the bedroom. And so we have this very interesting semi sextile where we're going to be full of ideas, and the emotional body and the cerebral body will want to co-create, and the action, right, that's slowed. It's like this mercurial energy moves fast. This Cancer wants to take its time. This Mars and Taurus wants to take its time. And what I want to say to you about that, especially while we have Saturn in Aries, which is not talking to this aspect, but we're still all in that energy. This is great when you have ideas, instead of rushing it and burning it out. This is when that Cancer, how do I really feel about this? Right? How do I really feel about this? And the cerebral kind of slowing down Mercury Cancer from just blurting everything. And also that Taurus Mars saying, let's go slow and steady. Let's not burn this out. This is a great idea. Let's not burn this out. So the things that you bring up, the things that you intend for this Gemini new moon, it, those options can be absolutely endless, because this is your creation, this is your imagination, this is your thought process, and there's more than one going on. Taurus Mars helps slow it down and strategize, the one that's going to give you more stability. And Jupiter in Cancer and Mercury in Cancer are going to make sure that you pick something that you care about, that is also going to help longevity. This also could be a time when we are not confessing feelings, but really examining, because again, it's a new moon. It happens in here. So really examining, this could have you really examining who's important in your life and where it's possible that maybe, because out of protection, out of trauma response, out of convenience of keeping things simple in life, when you have a lot on your plate, and there's not a whole lot of people who don't have a lot on their plate right now, that we've held back the emotional body from what it wants because it feels cleaner to think our feelings. And so all of this is up for examination. During this new moon in Gemini, focus on nurturing your relationships and the bonds, like I said, that matter the most. As Jupiter in Cancer enhances your growth potential, actively seek support from those who care about you. By openly expressing your needs, you can create fertile ground for absolute genuine connections. Again, things that you start here, we'll see culminate in 6 months, and we'll see come to full cycle in a year in the next Gemini new moon. Now, your rising degree influences how this Gemini new moon affects you personally. If your rising degree is below 24 degrees and 2 minutes, listen to your exact rising sign. If your rising sign, because this would qualify as me, right? I'm going to have to listen to Libra rising to my own video. I'm going to have to listen to the Libra rising because I am past 24 degrees and 3 minutes, which means the new moon is going to end up in my ninth house, not my 10th. So everybody should listen to whether this 24 degrees, pay attention to whether you are 24 degrees and 3 minutes of your rising sign, or are you 24 degrees and 2 minutes and below of this rising sign. And if you have any questions about that, drop me a comment. I love to answer the comments. I'm here for the engagement. And again, if you're not sure about your rising sign, or you have your birth info, but you have no idea how to calculate your rising sign, you can hit the contact button on my website and I will absolutely help you find that rising degree. So again, if you're after 24 degrees and 3 minutes, so 24 degrees and 4 minutes or above, you are going to listen to the next sign over. Okay, I'm going to launch into the rising signs now. So you won't see my face until the end, so make room for the charts and the things that matter. You'll hear my voice though. Okay, let's look at this Gemini new moon through the rising signs. And remember, we're going to look at our rising sign either before 24 degrees and 3 minutes or after. If you are 24 degrees and 4 minutes or after, you're going to listen to the rising sign after yours. Here we go with Aries rising. This new moon, of course, is happening in your third. This is the house of contracts, communication, siblings. There could be a new start in a sibling relationship, especially if there was any kind of a fracture. We could find a different way to communicate. This can also roll over into friends that feel like siblings, that person that you call brother, or the person you call sister, that you're very close, that mimics that. Sibling relationships, also cousins that you have been close to, and that friend that you made in kindergarten that you still have. This could all apply. Of course, we are also looking at starting a new subject of learning. We could be looking at early education steps, contracts here, as well as creative writing, lyrics, any kind of creative writing project at all. This could start a new chapter for you, and something that you might feel comes to somewhat of a completion in a year from now. It could take you, this could be the spark of an idea, especially with Uranus also kind of hanging out in that third house that wants to give something kind of the foundation. This can be amazing. Could it be stubbornness? Yes. If you are deconstructing anything around any person, any early experiences, dare I say, trauma responses around rejecting your own worth, this is the perfect time in this new moon. And by all means, take advantage of writing affirmations, take advantage of setting alarms in your phones. You all know I'm a big fan of that. If you know, you know, if you've had a session with me, put an alarm in your phone, not for when you're waking up, not for when you're most busy, but an alarm that will go off that you have to read that sentence again about why you are worthy of whatever you want and quality of it, quality relationships, quality abundance, steady abundance without disruption. This is a great time in this new moon in this next 6 months to deconstruct and reconstruct, right? Put something else there in its place for your sense of worth. And again, this can be great for money, really can. Also having our semi-sextile to Jupiter, and that is in the fourth. So, this gets interesting. Anything around familiar ties, anything, and I say familiar, I mean through family, not just I recognize this. And we want to look at in what ways, right? This could be contracts too around home renovations, home, anything that turns your home into a sanctuary, magnifies the idea of sanctuary for you in your home. Absolutely. If that's where you're in life and, you're at a place where you can say, yeah, I've totally saved the money or I have the money or whatnot, great time to do this. Also, we might see, especially don't forget we have Mars and Jupiter making that really happy sextile or at least harmonious. They get along. So there could be movement on the needle about communication at home. And it could be communication that like, okay, this can only work this way because there's two ways to split this atom, right? There's two ways to say there's two paths we can take. And one of them would be like, okay, both of us or this person and that person doesn't have to be a relationship have decided that we can't move the needle anymore. Like we're hitting up against each other's non-negotiables and this is a fresh start for both of us, right? But it might be a more, let's hope, this really could be without a whole lot of drama. I'm not saying it won't be without a lot of emotion, but it could really be without a lot of drama. It could be very matter of factually, like we've tried a million ways till next Tuesday. We have to look at another option other than keep beating our heads against a wall, right? Now, this could cause or reflect remedy, and it could reflect letting each other move to, okay, we talk in passing, whether that's a sibling or like agree to disagree. Okay. It doesn't have to be the ending of something at all. It's a new moon, but a fresh start is for you. The moon is reflective of you, and it's a new moon. Don't forget what I said at the beginning. This is reflective of the inside of us. This is about you less than it is the outside circumstances. So do with that what you will. Thank you for listening, Aries rising. I love how that money is looking in this new moon for you. Okay, let's move over to our lovely Taurus risings. Okay, Taurus rising, cha-ching, cha-ching. This is in your second house. Listen, this is right on the cusp of the second for some of you, but it should be still inside the second. If you are Taurus rising of more than 24 degrees and 4 minutes, this might be happening in your third. But if it's happening in your second, a new moon, this could be taking on a side hustle that works out really well. Um, be careful of sweets causing inflammation for you right now. But that semi-sextile to the Mars and Taurus also could be about standing your ground and strategizing for yourself. What do you need for yourself to be comfortable? And how, without completely ending anything in your current life, can you also kind of branch off in a way that suits you, that provides for you? Again, we're talking about a new moon. It's the darkest phase. This is coming from inside, and it's far less about those external circumstances. In the second house, we are talking about, yes, abundance and resources, but we are talking about what we need to make ourselves feel worthy. This is the house of self worth and what we value and what makes us feel safe. It's the foundational house. So when we're looking at a new moon in Mercury there, it is contemplating and allowing a new way to feel safe and to feel our worth. And I will die on the hill that when we look at the second house, when we look at Venus, right? And make no mistakes, Mars is in Taurus, but Taurus is run by Venus, which is just moved into Leo. And when we are talking about Venusian run planets, when we are talking about the second house, when we are talking about Venus itself, we are talking about your perception of your self worth. And your perception of your self worth is quite literally the antenna. Well, not literally, but it is the antenna of what we feel we are worthy to pull in love, in abundance, environment, all of that. And so we can recalibrate that antenna to be so far reaching and so beyond our wildest dreams. And I can promise you this because I have walked that path. from one severe end to the other, and I might not be there yet. I might not be fully to the end the other side of the path, but I promise you it can be done. And so again, this new moon in allowing another way, because if you're a Taurus rising, you've all heard me say this, and if you're new, welcome and thank you for coming to my TED Talk on Taurus rising. I love a Taurus rising, is that sometimes they will stay in uncomfortable situations and relationships because sometimes, let's not generalize, but depending on the other placements, asking a Taurus rising to make a huge life change and disrupt everything is like asking a redwood to uproot and walk out of California. And so this beautiful new moon for you allows you to kind of split off a path so you can still keep the path you're on. You can still keep the people in your life. You still can keep whatever it is that you really aren't ready to let go while also forging a second path. And that can make a Taurus rising far more comfortable with the change if we can kind of do it slowly, if we can kind of have our backup. We never really want to feel like the foundation, the rug proverbial is pulled out from under us. So I love this new moon for Taurus rising. Also, when we are looking at that Jupiter hanging out in your fourth, which is also having a conversation, again, you could be looking at improvements in the house, just like Aries rising. If that lands in your third, but you could be looking at better ways, really looking at family dynamics and siblings as well, contracts, renegotiating in a way that serves everybody, but especially serves you. And sometimes for some people, the inner peace is when it's all is quiet on the Western Front. Sometimes that inner peace comes from without sacrificing and compromising your own sense of value and your own sense of worth, finding that compromise that allows peace on the outside so you can have peace on the inside. We just never want to conflate creating peace on the outside that creates conflict within. But there is, with negotiation and strategy and the right approach, there is a lot of room for remedy where there was not prior to this new moon. Okay, I hope that is helpful, Taurus rising. Let's look at our next, and thank you for listening, Taurus rising. I love all of you, and I hope you have a very happy new moon in Gemini. Let's look at our Gemini risings. Gemini rising. This, of course, is happening in your first house. Here we go, Gemini rising. Here we go, Gemini rising. Of course, this is happening in your first house. You know, if you're Gemini or very late Taurus, you've just experienced Uranus moving over your ascendant for the last fucking time. Hurrah. And now it's in your first house and kind of the ball's in your court. So this is an extra interesting new moon for you. It could be happening in the very inside of your second, depending on the size of the houses where you were born. That's a whole other thing. If you like to know about all that stuff, I have like a learning series. They're not classes. It's just a learning series that's a little bit more comprehensive than the surface stuff you would get out on, in the wild, wild west of the internet about astrology. But we talk about the size of the house. And if this is happening in your first, fantastic. If it's happening in your second, fantastic. Gemini risings, this is a great new moon for you, and late Taurus also. Great new moon for you. The ball is in your court, and you may not realize it. Again, for anybody listening that has heard me say this a million times, that perspective is the place that not only do we make decisions out of perspective, but also it's really kind of what is on the control knobs of how we decide the correlating emotion for events should be. So, like, whether we're choosing sadness, whether we're choosing to like freak out so much that that's all we're talking about, I can get guilty of that too. I'm a Gemini Mercury, and sometimes I will get so indignant about like something that some injustice, right? And maybe that's a little bit of my neurospiciness. Maybe that's a little bit of my tiny flavor of touch of tism. I've got just a splash. Like when they take one of those really good sauces and like kind of smudge it across the plate. That I've got about that level. But I got lots of ADHD and neurospiciness. And so my reaction to injustice sometimes serves me well when that injustice is for other groups, other marginalized groups. And I will say it serves me poorly at times when it's about me because I can get lost in it. And I love my conviction about injustice outside of myself. The way that I react to that same injustice for myself depends. I love that I have healthier boundaries, which really helps me not have to deal with it as much. But sometimes it's beyond my control. Sometimes it's a whole company that I lost money or they did something or they stalled something. And I can get so upset and feel like, oh God, this ruins everything. And the longer I stay in that energy, it doesn't do that company any harm. It doesn't get my shipment there any sooner. It doesn't put the money back in my bank account. What does it do? Who does it harm? Yep, me. And so when we are looking at perspective in this first house, I promise you, Gemini risings, late Taurus risings, if you will hold the space with me for a moment, taking this next 6 months and the next year in full cycle, to take a beat and always look at what would the other perspective be than my initial perspective. And listen, you have every fucking right to your initial reaction to things. That is your lived experience. That is your nervous system. That is what you have had the tools so far. You are doing the best you can with the tools that you have at this moment. And so this year is about just feeling your feelings, have your go to reaction, and then take a look at that second perspective, what it might hold for you. Try it on. You're a Gemini rising and try it on and see if that gets you better results in general. If that slowly starts to creep up and you're like, oh, that kind of stuff is kind of happening less. And it may not be happening less. It may feel like it's happening less because it's not living in your body, in your mental space, and in your emotional space as long. And I will tell you, I was very guilty of like, it could just put out a shingle on my front lawn and live there when I experienced, like, I can't believe that happened to me. And it really did happen to me. I wasn't exaggerating. But taking on that second perspective, oof, this is a fantastic new moon for you. Now, I want to say, talking about that semi-sextile with that Mars and Taurus in that 12th house, whatever strategy you need to use right now, it will probably stick and you could kind of do it quietly, like a ninja in the night, if you will, without being shady. This might be a beg for forgiveness instead of ask permission, space and time for you right now. Do things and maybe don't announce them. Do things and maybe don't announce them. Just saying. And when we are looking at the Jupiter in Cancer, again, could be right inside that second house, or right before the cusp of the third, or right after. It could be in that third house, depending on house size. But this looks like deciding how much you want other people's influence to make decisions for you and deconstructing what selfish is, because selfish is not making decisions that are best for you. I know everybody's heard this ad nauseum, but the example of the oxygen mask coming down in a plane when when the flight attendant gives the whole safety lecture in the beginning, and put yours on first before you help somebody else. I promise you, when you have healthy boundaries and you are saying no more, you will eventually become such an easy person to deal with. You will care less about feeling like somebody stepped over you and feel less like you have to fight for control in situations. You will feel more agency with the more boundaries that you actually have. And you might actually become a more pleasant person to deal with because there won't be drama about it. You'll just be so comfortable in your boundaries, right? And this can include, even in our families, how deeply you're going to engage with something, how deeply you want to convince somebody of anything. Maybe you don't need to convince them that you're right. Maybe you don't need to convince them what's good for you. Maybe you just do it and say, okay, again, this new moon can have a little bit of agree to disagree, and it's okay, right? I love also the opportunity that you might have for contracts, writing. If there's somebody also that maybe you're having a little bit of discourse with in writing may work for you better at this time rather than verbal attempt at repairing the conflict. But again, man, are you in the driver's seat? 'Cause there's probably gonna be change in the next 6 years in your life, right? And there'll be change about you and change about how you identify, how you see yourself, and then not so much how you want the world to see you, but whether you care how the world sees you as long as you are comfortable in your own skin and you are satiating that incredible curiosity and not playing it safe and vanilla and plain. Because Gemini risings, that's not what you are here to do. Gemini risings, I hope you have an amazing Gemini new moon. And thank you so much for listening. Cancer risings, happy new Gemini moon. This is happening in your invisibility cloak house. This is happening in your 12th house. I love a new moon in the 12th house, especially for a Cancer rising, because you know you're already magical. You know you're already magical. You already have your gifts. And I hope Cancer risings have learned to be understanding of their clairsentience, their clairvoyance, whatever their clairs are, and also have the boundaries on that instead of being, as John Edwards says, risotto and absorbing everything and everyone around them. That is not your job, Cancer risings. Uh, this new moon is great if you are someone looking for a job in an institution. When I say an institution, I mean anything that we would consider an institutional based career, government, education, law enforcement systems, hospital systems, anything that we would consider an institution, like the institution of Harvard, the institution of this academy, or this, hospital, anything in medicine, anything also in metaphysics. This is a great time to start any of those journeys for you. Yes, you could get a little extra woodgy woodgy in this new moon. And you do have Uranus that's going to be traveling through that 12th house for the next 6 years. So you're definitely on a journey of some amazing changes there. The Taurus Mars in the 11th gives you great strategy through networking, collaboration, community here. And if you are looking for a job, if you are looking to go in or change the job you already have, working with medicine, college, government, law enforcement, whatever the job that would be considered in that kind of genre of institution, use your references, use your networking, use all of that community, anything that you can do to help you strategize will really help create foundation here. And I'm gonna tell you, uh, you might experience a little inflammation, but it'll probably be temporary, and you might find out that you have, like, an unusual food allergy at this time. Could be, but if you do have a moment of, like, inflammation, and you're not sure what it was, go do one of those in the mail tests where they tell you what it is exactly that you're allergic to. It just could be interesting and something that kind of, like, undercover that you didn't expect. But there's also, again, just like Gemini rising, there's a lot of agency here for you to find. And you may find your own agency by using your voice for others, which is something a Cancer rising would do naturally. But there is great opportunity that you make yourself. You are making your own emotional joy here. And when I tell you how powerful and empowering that can be to make and find and understand your own joy, your own opportunities, you will feel far less helpless, even in this chaotic dumpster on fire of a society that we live in right now. The more agency you can give yourself, of course, the better. And so the magnification and understanding of the opportunity that you create for your own joy and you create for your emotional balance and not letting people have agency over that, you creating your opportunities. And that could even be solarpreneurship or side hustle right now. The you kind of have great options here. You do. And again, if you're interested in metaphysics, this is a great time for you. I do also have Introduction to Trauma Informed Tarot, which I'm beginning to wonder that I shouldn't have renamed, like, and spiritual development, because at least half of that time is spent in spiritual development and understanding how we connect to guides, what are clairs, touch on that maybe, and also how to make sure that we're safe when we're practicing. So we're not feeling everybody else's stuff and we don't take it with us after a reading. The kind of the important start stuff is in there. But if you are looking into metaphysics, this is a great time to start that journey in general. Thank you for listening, Cancer Risings. I hope that you have a great Gemini new moon. Okay. Leo risings, happy Gemini new moon. This is happening in your 11th. I mean, if you didn't already win the lotto being a Leo rising, hello, you have this new moon in this mercurial, communicative, community house. And so the ideas, communication, the networking, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. You may find opportunity comes from the place that you didn't expect it. You will not see it coming, but it can do things to kind of grow your life. It can do things to kind of grow your life and grow your opportunities and your collaborations. I absolutely love this for you. Uh, when when we're looking at a new moon in the 11th house, we also have to look at, like, there is something you can do here. And it could be small. It could be an intention because it's mercurial. So while ideas can become tangible, it could be the epiphany. It could be the inspiration. It could be just writing one sentence, pen to paper, or typing to digital. But this could really be the new start of something that has profound long-term changes on your life. But this is beautiful. We have Mars and Taurus in the 10th house. Whatever strategies, whatever actions you're taking towards what you love most, what you're set up for most, what people remember you for most. Mars and Taurus, steady as she goes. This builds real stability. And this is a it's a great new moon, Leo. Slow and steady, gentle and sustainable, and I promise you win the race. Leo rising sometimes can feel like overly responsible for a lot. Because while they get a bad rap about, oh, they're vain and they're this, and Leo placements thinks everything is always about them. And are there unhealthy people who aren't interested in growth and aren't interested in their own evolution, aren't interested in healing, and don't care who they hurt? Sure, those people exist. Guess what? They exist in all the rising signs, right? But also, like, if the sun died, we would all die. And so sometimes the personal expression of that is Leo risings can kind of feel a lot of responsibility. Like they're not allowed to take time out for themselves. Because if they stop, what happens to everything else? It would fall apart. And maybe it wouldn't, right? And maybe people can take that and twist it and say, well, see, they think everything revolves around them. But maybe their life has shown them that if they stop, everyone else complains, right? And maybe they're just that Leo rising isn't particularly at the place yet where they can say, you all can figure it out. I figure it out. You all figure it out. And the communication abilities, the opportunities coming from nowhere that you won't see coming that will just feel like gifts, like very much like the aces in tarot. And that slow, steady build and elevation and reputation in that 10th for you, it's time to take that moment for yourself. And yeah, unless they are under 17 and or have something that they truly cannot take care of themselves as adults, yeah, it's time to just give a little space to maybe let people figure out a little stuff on their own and shine. Listen, if you're gonna get accused of taking all the shine and all the spotlight, then fucking do it because they're going to say it anyway. Okay. Love your favorite feisty astrologer. I hope you have a beautiful Gemini new moon. Thank you so much for listening, Leo Risings.
Hey, sorry, can you be the bad guy? Because somebody just turned on the TV really loud. I just need another 15 minutes. I cannot go downstairs to record because my legs can't. Okay, so hey, Virgo rising. Your Gemini New Moon is happening in the 10th. This is mercurial inspiration, communication, writing, publishing, the solutions, the curiosity. In that 10th house, this can be amazing. You have got that Mars in Taurus talking to this new moon from the ninth, which gives you even more strategy and access for getting your ideas out there. Not are the ideas being seen, they couldn't not be seen right now, but the idea that you could publish them. Listen, if you've been thinking about putting yourself forward facing, but if you've been thinking about taking an idea to the internet and maybe you've made a few videos and you haven't published them yet. This is the time. If you're thinking about going back to blogging, this is the time. Just wow. And Jupiter being there in the 11th house gives you visibility through large communities. So this is online, this is internet, this is networking. This is a great time for a career. And again, strategize through like, what does this look like? Am I learning something? Um, am I learning something and teaching something simultaneously? The strategy, the slow and steady. If you wanted to start something that was a reoccurring season series right now that you would be publishing or just putting out to the world, publishing and promoting could mean anything from a report at work, a book, a song, or a TikTok or a video that goes up on some platform. But really, the big point here is this new moon, this new start. If you know that you are ready to kind of move the needle in a place where you are starting to live the life that fully satiates you and what people will remember you for and getting promotions at work, all of this is here for you in this Virgo rising. Now, remember, if you are more than 24 degrees and 4 minutes, you're probably going to be listening to Libra rising. But I got to tell you, that one's not so shabby either. So we love this for Virgo rising. This is fantastic. Leo Venus has just gone into the 12th. So I want to say, please like trust your gut, trust your intuition. If you are feeling like no one wants to listen, or I don't know if that'll do it anyway. Do it anyway because you may not be feeling that Venus has other jobs right now. It's moving quietly. So it might not be the loudest voice influencing you to go ahead and do it, but I love this for you. And I think that this for you is a new moon of moving forward with your ideas. This is understanding astrology is reflective. It's not like, "Hey, do it, it might catch fire." This is reflective of the fact that other people want to hear your ideas, and when you do that, it magnifies your opportunity out and about in communities, in networking, on the internet, ideas getting passed through, and kind of solidifying how intelligent, how much of an asset you are, and that Mars in the Taurus is slow, steady actions and strategy are going to work. I love this new moon for you. And, that Saturn in Aries too. I want to say to all my Virgo risings that, Salvador Dali says, fear not perfectionist. It does not exist. The happiness, the true inner peace is not in pursuing perfection, but it's in the peacefulness of what we produce. And if you can take this new moon and combine all of that, I promise you it produces things that can change your life. And I know that sounds crazy and dramatic, but I'm going to stand on business here. Slow and steady might not be overnight, but you have more to share than you think you do. It's already ready. It's ready, and it's time to celebrate your well curated greatness as a Virgo rising because you care so much and you want to extract the best of best of everything. It's time to celebrate the greatness that you've curated for yourself as a natural mode of operation as much as other people celebrate their mediocrity. I said what I said. I hope that you have a wonderful Gemini new moon, Virgos, and thank you for listening. Okay, my pretty, pretty Libra risings. You're also all smart too, but I just can't help saying pretty, pretty Libra risings. This is happening in your ninth. This is also good if you are late Virgo, anything after 23, 24 degrees and 3 or 4 minutes. I mean, does it get better than a new moon in Gemini in the ninth house? Does it? We have this curiosity, intellectual, sapiosexual, loving, loving a, a good turn of a phrase in the ninth house, in the ninth house of learning and sharing and growing and expanding and culturally expanding yourself and educationally expanding yourself and publication and promotion. I mean, really, this is this is so great. You are an air sign rising, poetry, art, all of those things that speak to you are now that's all that's all you now. This is a time to get your ideas as much as you appreciate somebody else's. And you do. You have such joy in watching what other people can produce and partaking and appreciating. And now it's your time. It is absolutely your time. That Mars and Taurus in the eighth house, that could be passive income. Slow and steady, drip, drip, drip. Jupiter in the 10th. This is finding something that speaks to you that doesn't feel hard to do. This is possibly moving over, taking first step in a path, or truly moving over, depending on your age, where you're at in life, into a career that is your calling. And listen, you can have more than one career in life. You can love. I know that because I lived that. And but this is really finding something that just like, yes, this magnifies, this makes so many opportunities because I'm naturally good at it. Naturally good at it. And I mean, Mercury is in Cancer, also in that 10th house. That is ruling your second house of natural talents. That is ruling this new moon. This is this is just good for you. It is just good for you. And don't look at Mars in the eighth house and think, oh no. Look at Mars in the eighth house and think drip, 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 money, money, money. In fact, I'm going to give you homework, my Libra risings. I want you to go find the raindrop song from the movie Bambi, the original movie of Bambi. I don't think they made a second. Personally, they shouldn't. It would be sacrilege. Anyway, for the opinion you didn't ask for, back to astrology and metaphysics, because we do both here. I want you to find that song. And when they're going drip, 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 little April showers, I want you to think drip, 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 little new moon dollars. I promise you that just came in right now as a hit, so you guys get a little extra for this one. I want you to start listening to that and thinking and moving your body, especially your hips. Make sure you get a snack while you're listening to it. And I want you to feel the energy that this new moon is bringing you because holy cow, Mars in the 20th, Mars in the 8th in Taurus. Drip, 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 little new moon dollars. Yep. Yep, my astro curious baddies. That's what that is. I I want you to lean in to what you already know and feel good about that, and then open yourself up to what you have left to learn because life is a Venn diagram, it's not black and white, and you can have both. You can have both. This is great new moon for you, and I hope that especially, Venus is running through 11th. Either you have friends in the right places right now to really kind of execute this as well. You really do. And especially with Venus as your rising ruler. Beautiful new moon for you. Thank you so much for listening, my Libra risings. Go listen to that song. Go put it on your phone. Listen to it every day with Ring My Bell. Because not mad at a Mars and Taurus in the eighth house. No, no. Scorpio risings. How you doing? So Scorpio risings, this is your Gemini new moon. It's in the eighth house. And this is when we want to say this mercurial run new moon in that eighth house of psychology, of transformation. We are deconstructing and reconstructing. We are allowing ourselves to take any possible shame we have left. And if you're listening to me, you've probably deconstructed a lot of it already. But we're going to look for like where we didn't feel it. I'm going to give you all an example. I have Pluto on my ascendant. I really relate to a Scorpio rising. So one of my kids is a Scorpio rising, and I was on a plane because we're on a family trip right now, and it's for me in my career is not the best time to go on a family trip, but this was the time that worked for everybody, and families are big, and everybody has to compromise. And my youngest is so happy to see everybody. He hasn't seen everybody in a really long couple of people he hasn't seen almost 7 years. And, COVID and then my health and other things have just prevented us from doing that. So he was so happy. And I almost just kind of naturally went into this. This really wasn't a good time for you. This is because I love you. This is because I love you so much. And I heard all the times that I heard in my head, which let me say, at what they had, their tools, their understanding, their ability to deconstruct, my parents probably said with good intention. And mostly, this is probably mostly my mom, but it doesn't matter. We could have heard it from either both parents. "You're so lucky I love you that I'm doing this for you. I would not be doing this for you. This is a really bad time for me." And I heard it in my head before I said it, and they just said, "I'm so glad you're happy." And then I shut my fucking mouth, right? Because here I am doing this for a living, talking about trauma and neuroplasticity and how we rephrase everything. And I caught myself in real time because we are all deconstructing always. And so when I say this is a great time to really have a little bit more to deconstruct and really let go of anything that may have had implied shame or guilt or things that society should tell you you should hide. And it occurred to me like, I say everybody's doing the best they can. That was the best they could. And I'm really glad that I could take a moment and I owe my older kids an apology because I probably said shit like that to them, not even thinking twice. So my son, as a Scorpio rising, I will tell him in this Gemini new moon, like when I said that stuff to you and I meant it in a good way, that made you think like, oh God, mom did that, even though, and you felt guilty or you felt like it was a struggle. Something had to be struggled in order to give you things or show you how much you mattered. Then I am sorry for that. Please go ahead and get rid of that. Right? I mean, we're all learning and we are all doing better. Once we know better, we do better. I'm going to tell you my awesome Scorpio risings, and I have so many of you in my community, and I am so grateful for you. And you all know who you are. If you've been in my community a while, I love a Scorpio placement. I just do. And so when we are looking at a new moon in Gemini, there is more than one way. This is kind of very similar to Gemini risings, where I'm telling you, you have a lot of agency and the ball's in your court. And perspective is the place we make decisions out of. And it tunes the knobs where we feel like what is the proper correlating emotion to this event and this thing. And for Scorpio rising, how long do I want to hold on to that? And is it helping me? Is it the whole, if you hold a grudge, you're drinking the poison, not your enemy? I want you to really think about anything that you feel like you have to hide or somebody made you feel guilty over. An intention later tonight around like that was never mine. That was never mine. That was their stuff. That's my shit. If I ever said like, "Oh, this was so inconvenient, but I did it because I love you" to my older kids, that's my shit. That's not their shit. They shouldn't have to carry that. A new moon in the eighth house can also mean passive income. You've got this great Mars and Taurus in the seventh house. which could mean finding a partnership or or a contract or a commitment that will be slow and steady and true. Strategizing with other people, amazing. This is a whole new leaf to turn. I have to say, this is one of my favorite new moons in a long time. I feel kind of passionate about it, if you can't tell. And may I say, if you are really Scorpio rising, that Jupiter is probably on either one side or the other side of your MC. The magnification of the antenna that gets attracted to you to move into calling, to move into that next chapter in life. I don't think we have the chapter when we're kids and then we have another chapter when we're adults. That doesn't scientifically, neurologically, astrologically, metaphysically make sense to me. I know too much for that to make sense anymore. And so we are allowed different chapters in our adult life with, yes, different relationships, different friends, because we're going to grow. And sometimes we grow out of things. And sometimes the person we leave that with, we can thank the person we had to be to get through situations. We can hug that version of ourselves, shed the skin, and go on to a new version. And Scorpio risings, that is your specialty. And this is a new moon for it. You've got career lighting up, you've got opportunities coming in, you've got great steady partnership, whether that's a business or a person in a romantic sense. This could be the start of something too with that. Jupiter, so especially if you're early Scorpio rising or very late Libra rising, this absolutely can mean an opportunity that brings you to that passive income. And it could be digital products too. Don't sleep on that. Don't sleep on that, Scorpio risings. Please leave me a comment and And please let me know that you heard me, that it's not a cross that you need to bury to carry. It doesn't need to be or bury. It doesn't need to be part of your identity, right? To be protective, to be that I call Scorpio creme brulee, crusty on the outside. That hard protective shell is protecting a very warm, gooey inside. And it doesn't have to be, if we strengthen the inside, doesn't mean you don't have to be mushy and emotional, but then we don't have to walk around as much with the chip. And again, Pluto on my ascendant, I identify with that, and I'm not lecturing you about it. I am saying from lived experience that like it gets more, you get more inner peace doing that also. I thank you for listening, Scorpio rising, and I hope you have a very happy Gemini new moon. Sagittarius, your new moon is happening in your seventh house. Not gonna lie. This could be engagement, planning marriages, this could be a lot of things. Um, but it also can be very contractual, new partnerships, new collaborations. If you had anything going on with court matters, legal matters, this could come out very favorable for you, or it could be the beginning of something that really ends up favorably for you. There could be something unexpected that comes in and helps you a second way that you didn't see. You thought win or lose, and then there's like a second way. This could be really favorable. And if that doesn't pan out right around right now, look to beginning of November for this to really kind of come in and favorably for you. You could be very, very busy. You could feel like you're monumentally busy right now, but it is probably building something that is worth building. And there's also a lot of emotional processing. I'm going to say if you have a partner that you can rely on, whether that partner is in your house, whether that is a best friend, whether that's a long distance bestie, whatever that is, expressing and communicating to them and venting, purging is really going to be helpful for you right now. There are deep transformations happening for you, Sagittarius rising. And as you go through this next 6 months, and that Gemini full moon is in your first house, the changes that take place in you are going to give you so much agency, so much. Uh, Careful about sweet tooths right now. And also, I want to say that with that Jupiter in eighth, might be in the ninth for some of you, but if it's in eighth for you, there could be ways to have that collaboration be with family and And also, you could be receiving money that's just not yours. When I say you're receiving money and you have something in the eighth house, I'm going to make it clear to everybody that should not freeze your nervous system. It does not mean inheritance and it doesn't mean somebody's going to die. And if I see money coming in the eighth house, that doesn't mean also during that lunation or that event that somebody is going to pass. Because if I see money coming in, the way the world works, it takes sometimes 6 months to a year for anything to settle. So, like, I am not giving you notice of somebody you love passing if I'm saying, oh, money might be coming in through the eighth house. That just means money you don't have to sweat and toil for. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Again, contracts, collaborations, partnerships, you know, this is really incredible. Also, this also could be like finding a new best friend. This could also be getting like a bonus person out of your relationship in a weird way. Like you love your boyfriend or your husband, but like then you get introduced, probably your boyfriend, right? Or your girlfriend or your partner. What if you like it, I love it for you. But then you meet the other best friend or a cousin or what, and you're like, "Oh, I get 2 people out of this person, bonus." This is very interesting. How you do relationships might change a little in the next 6 years, but in a way that grows everyone. I promise that, and growing pains are growing pains. I'm not saying that you have to have them, but there is growth, and the way that you are slowly and steadily fine tuning and self refining right now shows up for you big, huge, huge in the next 6 months. If you ever have any questions about when I'm giving you your Sagittarius or whatever rising sign reading for any new or full moon, please leave me a comment. I love answering them. And also, you can always join the full community on Patreon. And when you are a bonus member, you get your own little personal reading. I make a little video just for the bonus members. And they get that locked down to just their page. They get tiny little mini personal readings for their chart for each new and full moon. And we are currently at 14 bonus members, which is I'm incredibly grateful, and we are capping at 20. Just FYI, so there's 6 more spots left for that, and you can read everything else that they get in the membership tiers. Thank you so much for listening, Sag Rising, and I hope you have a wonderful Gemini New Moon. Hello, my lovely Cap Risings. I met a new Cap Rising this weekend that I just absolutely fell in love with. She was amazing. I love a Cap rising women, powerhouses, man. They are cool as fuck. I never met a Cap rising woman that I wasn't like, you are just cool as fuck. and and yeah, and sharp and yeah. I love a Cap rising lady. Okay, so we are looking at this in your sixth house. One, let me say, if you have been struggling with any kind of like energy issues, health issues, I'm not a doctor, but this could be a new start. You could find out about a new supplement, a new doctor, a new study, a new something. If that has not already dropped in your lap, you are listening to me, go looking. There is very likely a solution or a new start or a new way to apply things. You're doing traditional, conventional Western medicine, great, because sometimes we all need a pharmaceutical treatment or surgery. And also, maybe you're finding an Ayurvedic way or a metaphysical way or a natural with herbs or traditional Chinese medicine. There's a second way for support, and there may be even a new study or a new pharmaceutical or something that's like newer, like almost like invention type energy we're talking about. Please look at this. You are also fine tuning, refining. I will not say self perfecting because perfection does not exist, but like a self awareness and fine tuning that brings an inner peace, especially in that mental space for you. Capricorn rising, there is a getting to know yourself here in this new moon available to you, which is great. In Capricorn risings, let's just be honest, everybody with each other, they're badasses. They wield Saturn like it's nothing. Like it's nothing, right? It's kind of hot. We love a Capricorn rising because you're already a badass. But this gives you, instead of just being the outer badass, This, you're probably badass because you had to be. Every badass we know, everybody, somebody's like super cool. Yeah, they are. And also, they probably had to go through a lot. They had to probably go through a lot. And so giving themselves the space to self-refine and not just be in survival mode right now, amazing. 10 out of 10. No notes. Love this for Cap Rising. There is possibly some extra bonding opportunity and a real concentration of energy in that 7th house of contracts, committed relationships. Mm, Also, some of you could maybe get a new pet or get a new pet with a partner, but but yeah, this is beautiful. And I Mars and Taurus takes its time. I always say Mars and Taurus sometimes can be frustrating to some things. Anything that you want to be, like I said, in Libra risings, like drip, 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 little new moon dollars. Sometimes that Taurus, that slow Taurus Mars, is very strategic and it's good in a money house. But let me tell you, when it's in the 5th house, this is somebody who's going to show up. This is not just like meeting love bombing person. This can be meeting the person that's going to continually show up. And if you're already in a committed relationship, this 5th house of romance and risk could lead to a very nicely spicy weekend. I will die on the hill that Mars and Taurus in the bedroom is always a good time. They are slow hands. So, this again, I just, maybe I'm being biased this new moon. I love it. It's also sitting right on my Mercury and right on my MC. So you might be getting a little, right? This is why I say it's always good to have other people read for us too. But it's just a nice new moon. It just is, especially because it's dispositing, right? It's a mutual reception with that Mercury in Cancer. It's just lovely. And I gotta say, Cap Risings, you badasses, this is a really good new moon for you. Make sure you're not taking on too much on your plate. Say no to some things. That I will say. Make sure you're saying no and you're not overscheduling yourself. You're not double scheduling yourself. Okay? Double booking yourself. Take some rest if you can, either tonight or tomorrow. Call in sick. Tell them that you have a note from your doctor and send it to me in an email and I will digitally sign it. I hope you have a wonderful Gemini new moon. Thank you for listening, my badass Cap risings. Okay, Aquarius rising. Let's look at this new moon, which of course is in your 5th house. Brown chicken, brown cow, as we say in this community. If you know, you know. So, Aquarius rising, you're having this in the 5th house. You've got Jupiter in the 6th. We might have a little bit of inflammation here and there. It will pass eventually, but it is a great time to find out about like food allergies or anything like that. If Aquarius rising is very logical, brilliant. They're not about the drama. They're very loving and sweet. The affectionate, let me tell you something first. Let me give you the juice in this new moon, the sexy juice here is that this could be the kind of sexting that just makes somebody fall in love. This could be the kind of like written word that is just panty dropping, just melt them completely if that's your thing. I'm just going to put that out there. Um, but this also could be a different way that you look at risk. It's still Saturn run, Aquarius rising, and they're fun and they're quirky and they're not boxed in by any means. But this could be a second way to look at risk. This is also not the worst time ever to like just go do a draw for one of those if you're open to getting a lottery ticket. I'm not saying spend the 6 months spending all your money on tickets, but this is not the worst time to try to do that. You may have you're either going to have slow and steady repairs or slow and steady savings for a house. You could be looking at real estate here or how to strategize making money through real estate. You could also be getting money through real estate in this through something that's already in play. But quiet, steady strategy might be producing something that shows up at the workplace, in yourself, in your inner peace, in your self refinement, fine tuning, self empowerment, self actualization. We could argue is 1st house, and then the fine tuning of the that self acquisition, that account, like knowing who you are, and then starting to fine tune it, can also be found in the 6th with Jupiter there and the ruler. and possibly Leo, depending on how your chart works out. Uh, take the risk. If you're not comfortable being conventionally romantic, I am telling you could talk the drawers off of the Pope in this new moon. I said what I said. And I think Pope Leo would think that was funny. I do. I'm a fallen Catholic. I might not follow, but he seems like a pretty cool dude. So Aquarius risings, we have steady strategy, especially around home purchase or making money from homes if you're acquiring. This could be working into like taking a small risk with steady, consistent action into working smart and not hard and building something that could allow you to live a different life. That's gonna only apply to some people, but everyone should take advantage of that different perspective, looking at risk and romance both in a different way. You don't have to be like your Aquarius rising, you're not meant to be like everybody else. But that self-refinement and where you allow yourself to go emotionally and that steady action too, if there's any discourse at home or with partner, is an amazing time to fix it. And also put your listening ears on, right? And make sure even if something's not your bag, you don't want to be dramatically manipulated. We're not doing that. And you probably can't do it to Aquarius rising. But I do want to say that we want to make sure that we're also giving communication a chance to find any kind of solution if things have been a little off at home, whether that's romantic or not. This is a good, kind of lucky, joyful full moon. Go find and write down, think about everything that makes you joyful and write it down and make small little risks and then take steady actions and watch how that just feels like it magnifies your own self inner peace. Happy new Gemini moon, Aquarius risings, and thank you for listening. Pisces rising in this Gemini new moon. Certainly we're saving the best for last, right? Last but not least, fourth house Gemini new moon. The way that you can find a different solution to your housing, a different solution to making money around homes or land. Also, the way that we're going to find a different way to communicate and the way that we can start a new family tradition. Game night. If you can game tonight, please do it. Our whole family is getting together and playing D&D. We played Pinochle earlier. This is an incredible bonding moment for any kind whoever you call family. They do not have to be related to you by blood. This is an amazing night to get together, to share stories, to communicate, and start a tradition where that continues. And if you can't see each other, start an online tradition where you guys meet every 6 weeks and get together and continue that bonding, continue that play, because the curiosity, the mind space as we get older becomes the most important place for our family to live, that we understand each other, that we're speaking the same language, because we're all going to grow and change. And the way that we stay bonded and the way that we stay feeling safe in that family unit is to really take the time to understand perspectives as each person's perspectives grow and find the middle ground. There is so much slowing down. It's also a little competitive with Mars and Taurus in the third, right? And slowing down when we go to snap. You know, I'm a Gen Xer. We live off caffeine and sarcasm. And so sometimes we're being playful all the time and we're not paying attention, right? So we want to pay attention to others. We want to listen, be slow and steady. Also, no rushing to any kind of contract signing for you right now. Pisces risings and late Aries risings. We are going to make sure somebody else is also double checking anything that we're signing for contracts. If you're traveling, make sure there's not small print. I would say for the next 6 months, checking small print will probably do you well. But like planning and talking about, hey, where would I want to live next? Let's just say we want to move. Where would we want to go next? What's our plan? Having that so it doesn't feel like a big risk or a big emotional risk. right now, that plan in play would be amazing. Also, this is super creative. This is also when you could start strategizing an album, a book, any kind of creative project. If and especially if you like gaming, if you wanted to create your own game, create your own app, all of this slow and steady. It doesn't have to happen overnight, but it's that opportunity is there for you. And it should be something that brings you joy, that you love to do, that fills you up so much that you never ever Pisces rising, beautiful Pisces risings. You never ever have to depend on somebody else's external efforts being in control of the joy that you feel. Take the agency in this new moon. Write it down what it means to you. What makes you feel joyful when it doesn't involve another person, when it's not connecting to another human? What happens when you connect to yourself the most that you love? And please take a look at that. But yeah, this is gaming, this is fun, this is laughter, this is a gorgeous new moon for you. Pisces rising, and I I hope you do have a beautiful Gemini new moon. And thank you for listening always. All of you with your that little giggle to make sure everybody's comfortable. Pisces risings are truly beautiful human beings. We have a few of those here. I appreciate you all.
Thank you so much for listening to this whole video. Come hang out on Patreon with us. This is a wonderful new moon. Make your intentions and let the left and right side of you be that Cancerian Jupiter and Mercury and that Taurus Mars, and create something steady that you care about. This is a bright moment for all of us to look at what we can co-create, and something that has legs, something that can help create stability, whether that's inner stability or eventually outer stability in that Gemini full moon that we will see in December. I love you, know you love you.